Dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, once there was a sage who lived in a small village. He led a holy life and he was very much appreciated by the people of the village. Opposite to his hut lived a prostitute. The prostitute was a cause of distraction for this sage. He was very proud that he was not in a sinful state like that prostitute, but leading a holy life. Taken up by this feeling, he started taking the count of the number of people visiting the prostitute. As each man left the prostitute, he used to curse that prostitute. Later on, he was completely engaged in keeping the count of people. Whereas the prostitute regretted very much about her state of life. She wanted to abandon this job and earn a decent living, but she was helpless. She had no other option but to continue with this job. Every time she looked at the hut of the sage, she wished she could live a good life like the sage. After a few years, both of them died. When the sage reached judgment throne, he happened to see the prostitute already in heaven. To his shock, he was denied the entry into heaven. When he questioned Peter, who was at the entrance, the reply he received was this: while you lived in earth, you were busy finding the fault of that prostitute, and your entire focus was on the sin of that prostitute. Your mind was filled with those things, and you failed to live your life. Whereas that prostitute, who even though led a sinful life, earnestly longed for a decent living and holiness. We are all called to follow Jesus in different ways. We are able to pay attention to the call that we have received. Are we busy poking our nose into the other's business? Do we go around finding the fault of others like the sage? Whichever be the way of life, are we able to follow Jesus by being faithful to the call we received? In today's gospel, we have the scene of Jesus visiting the house of Martha and Mary. We have two sisters ready to serve Jesus. We must keep one thing in mind. Both of them volunteered for their respective services. The services were not forced upon them. While Mary chose to be at the feet of Jesus, listening to him, serving him closely, Martha chose to serve him at the table. But when Mary focused completely on serving Jesus, Martha went ahead with finding the faults of Mary. Martha was taking count of the things that Mary was not doing. When she started finding the fault of Mary, she was not happy with the service which she chose to do. She was completely dissatisfied, and this dissatisfaction in her gave rise to the complaint. Now, the complaint which Martha raised had two parts. First of all, she was complaining against Mary, who according to her was not doing anything. Secondly, she was complaining against Jesus, who is not showing any concern for her. Martha was dissatisfied with the deeds of Mary. This dissatisfaction shadowed her life and action too. Having Jesus in the family was one of the happiest moments for her. Even that happiest moment turned to be a sad situation when she was distracted in life and started finding the faults of others. She even went to the extent of complaining against Jesus. I am sure, being at the feet of Jesus, if she were to say that the tea has no sugar or the food is not tasty, she too would not have enjoyed the presence of Jesus. Usually, we tend to compare between the two types of work presented by the two sisters in today's gospel. Very often, we are confused because the statement of Jesus that Mary has chosen the better part. Let me make it clear that Jesus is not condemning Martha for the service that she chose to do, nor praising Mary for the service which she chose to do. Jesus is praising Mary because she was able to focus on the work which she chose to do. Jesus is condemning Martha because she was not able to focus on the work which she chose to do, whereas she was finding the fault of Mary. In our life, we need to be listening Martha and an active Mary. Like Martha, when we are engaged with our heavy workloads and busy schedules, we need to pay attention to the promptings of Jesus. We need to listen to our married partner and our children. In the families, try to keep some time for the family to come together. And half an hour of mobile-free hour will be the best of this. Keep some time for prayer so that you will listen to the Lord. Priests and religious, we need to listen to our own community members and the people entrusted to us. Like Mary, when we are active in our prayer life and busy building up our social life, we need to make effort to fulfill the responsibilities that are entrusted to us. While I was going for the Sunday ministry to one of the parishes, a lady approached the parish priest asking her to counsel her husband who didn't show sufficient interest in the spiritual matters. So, at the insistence of the lady, father went to her house. After speaking to her husband, he realized that it is not he who needs the counseling, but the wife. This married woman with 2 children will flee to the church early in the morning without doing any work in the family. She never played her part in the family. She just escaped all her responsibilities, making prayer as an excuse. While engaging in all spiritual matters, we need to fulfill our responsibilities too. We need to take care of our children. Children should look after their parents. We need to take care of others in need. We need to take care of our environment. Pray that we may be active like Martha and listening like Mary. Amen.